we're back to introduce Rob McDermand because I don't think we were recording when we introduced him. And we have one more topic that we really want to talk about because Canadians love WrestleMania. So everybody that doesn't know, this is Robert McDermand. He was my athletic academic advisor in college for 5 years, unfortunately. And I'll never forget one time, you're going to remember this. I'll never forget one time I got a compliment, the only time in 5 years that I got a compliment from Robert McDermand. We were in the alleyway between the locker room and the academic center, and I snapped him a ball. He was like, snap me the ball. And I snapped it to him. He goes, that was actually pretty good. That was it.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I can definitely say that. First of all, Chris, not only did we work together when in an advisor role, but I'm pretty sure, did you not have my sport business class as well?
I did.
But I'll tell you, my claim to fame, I guess, is that I watched an awful lot of those really, really great videos you put together. Where you were knocking stuff off of stuff, like there was that one where you like hit a Gatorade bottle into like a trash can, and I can only imagine that the trash can was some sort of metaphor for your professional career. And so that's my experience with Chris is hey, if there's going to be somebody that's going to throw stuff between his legs and not be a longshoreman on the New Jersey coastline or something like that, it's going to be Chris.
I'll take that compliment to my grave. I can tell you that.
You should write it on the headstone.
So we're gonna talk WrestleMania now because I haven't watched any WrestleMania, but I was looking on Twitter last night and there was like 5 trending things of WrestleMania. I was like, what is going on?
They're thriving right now.
So let me tell you something. And I know this sounds goofy, and it's not. I don't care particularly about the WrestleMania part. What I care about is the sports that have decided to embrace a different way of doing things. And WrestleMania was just the first. Like they went out and they got themselves a bunch of positive press, because they went out and they did something. Now I'm not saying it's right. I don't have a right answer here. I don't know if you should be doing it right now with all the virus and stuff going around, but I can tell you that they had more viewers watch it online. They had more likes and retweets and hashtags and all that jazz, more views, more social media presence. And when the dust settles, I think that's going to be the model for pro sports going forward.
So what exactly, can you explain it? Like how are they handling it? Like, so they don't,
for the folks at home,
they don't have fans. They're just,
let me tell you what they decided to do. So WrestleMania, normally obviously huge event that they have in like a big stadium. So that obviously got shot. I think they were supposed to be doing it in Tampa or Tompa.
Tampa Bay. Tompa Brady.
So they shut that down. And then they said, well, here's what we're going to do instead. We have a performance center in Orlando that's wholly owned by WWE. We're going to hold the whole event inside the performance center, no fans. And it's basically just going to be the wrestlers and a couple of cameramen and a couple of announcers. That's the whole event. And then they ended up pre-recording it. So they recorded all these matches without fans in the days leading up to it. And then they aired it on Saturday and Sunday over 2 days, 6 hours total. And they did 2 special events where they pre-recorded these, what are called cinematic matches, where they did all sorts of incredible camera work and things like that. Well, long story short, they aired the whole thing, and it turns out that, people weren't that disappointed with it without fans. It turns out the fans didn't matter.
Really? So so what is the background noise? Like, what is it?
Totally silent. You could hear everything the wrestlers were saying.
Really? Wow. That's like in my mind, like I know you're saying it's working well, but in my mind, I'm like, I wouldn't watch that. But everybody's watching it. Apparently, it's not that bad.
People are starved for content.
Well, it's that. Plus, it turns out that wrestling as an art form is actually pretty interesting when you watch people do it. It's almost like theater, like without the fans, it turns into an art form. And I think people are starting to realize that there's a part of sports that we miss. Like David said, like we're just craving things. But on the other hand, maybe it turns out you can enjoy sports even if there aren't 50,000 people yelling every time somebody does something right. And I think that what's more important from a business side is getting eyeballs watching it again. So forget the fans in the stands. Let's stop. Don't worry about the crowd gathering. Let's just try to get sports back on TV, back on the
And that's back into the XFL, who should have just kept doing it and
next up
and put it on TV. Apparently, that's why you're saying it'll be like a model.
That's what they're trying to do with baseball, right? Is bring it back to go out to like summer league, like out in Arizona, and have like 12 games and have them play out there, right?
Right.
So, I mean, maybe, but we'll go watch them.
Especially because these big groups aren't going to be allowed for probably honestly most of the year.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if on a federal level that became commonplace again in the next year or so, because there's too much risk, too many liabilities associated with it.
So that's interesting. And you're right. There's a lot of liability out there, but it also tells you something about what can a private corporation do if it wants to do it. I mean, obviously WrestleMania took place during this pandemic, and so if Major League Baseball decided to put together rules and regulations and said, we're going to allow the players to decide if they want to opt into this.
Right.
And if they do, and they enter this Arizona stadium, and it's just the players, once we're inside the stadium, all bets are off kind of thing. If the players are okay with that, because WrestleMania and WWE, they let guys decide if they didn't want to be a part of it. So one of the wrestlers, Roman Reigns, he wasn't a part of it because he had a pre-existing health condition. So he said, listen, I'm not going to be a part of this. And so same thing with Major League Baseball. You want to let the players back, that's great. Let them
penalty, don't force guys into it for sure. So yeah, I think you're right. That might be like a model for the next to cut what sports are gonna have to look like the rest of this year, honestly.
Yep. Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's a good model, but my one league that won't follow it and won't try to accommodate, and this will be the NFL. They will not try to accommodate that.
I'm not gonna lie, the NFL is money hungry.
I don't care if it's a better way or not. I think that's a great thing. I think that's how baseball needs to go ahead and come back. Baseball could go ahead and come back and do that exact model. I think that I wish.
And the thing is, I think the NFL could do it if they wanted to, but they don't.
Oh, for sure.
If they just put it on TV.
NFL Twitter is huge. There would still be.
There's no way. And they'll push it for when August rolls around, they're going to push it and be like, we're going, show up to the games. And the crazy part is
people are going to show up.
A lot of people are going to show up. I think that the attendance is going to be significant, a little less. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that would have normally gone that won't, but there's going to be a lot of people that show up. And that would be the one league that I say doesn't try to follow anything. They tried. I mean, they were holding open for a while as long as they could. And really only shut down for a few weeks here.
And I mean, the big epicenters, I know Houston's kind of big, but I mean, New York, when they're going out to their stadiums, that's
3 teams up there.
Right. They all share that. They all share that stadium. Yeah. I used to live near that stadium.
No, two share the stadium. The Bills have their own.
Okay. So, so it's just, it's just those things you have to think about. And I don't think NFL really cares about.
Well, and here's something you got to think about, too. If you're a league that has – typically you have all these fans in the crowd and it makes this this ambiance, this experience. I'd say let's forget the fans for a second, and let's say you have an empty arena. All of a sudden, all those empty seats, you know what that you could do with all that space? You could use augmented reality to put more ads in there and just make more money. Forget the fans. Just put a bunch of ads for beer along the back. And
right.
Or how they have those flags sometimes, people throw them on over all the seats and spread them out. And you could do that with the entire stadium. And that could be a great money maker.
Rob, let's go.
Yeah, that was massive. That was big idea.
That's a good idea. Y'all have to figure that out now.
I didn't just fall off the turn-up truck yesterday. I mean, I've been thinking about good ideas since way back. No, I think that, I think that when sports comes back, they're going to have this new reality. And one of the new realities is going to be if you have fewer fans, which is fine, you can do stuff with space that you never could do before. And one of the things could be more ads. One of the things could be a complete reimagining of what a facility actually looks like.
It's true.
And so there's all sorts of opportunities, but it's same thing we said with you got to be willing to take that chance. And maybe I think Chris is right. The NFL is probably willing to take a risk. But all these other leagues, they're not the leader. The NFL seems to probably be the leader.
The NFL is going to lead the way. I think the NFL leads the way even when you talk about – if the NFL had been in season, I think the NFL would have tried to push to stay open as long as they can, and that would have prolonged all the other sports trying to stay open. I don't think anybody would have left the NFL.
Right.
They would have had to been the first one to close their season.
There was this idea that for the NFL when games came back, like if crowds weren't allowed, that you pay a small price, like $5 for just a seat, and you have like something to write about your team, and they'll like paste it onto the seat, So it's like everyone's like cheering silently like around the stadium, and it's like $5 or something, and I was like, that sounds really sad. Like, no,
I like the advertising over the seats better. This is unfair because Rob teaches sports business. Like, this is what he does. Like, so this is
this is area of profession.
Yeah, he makes us look like chumps here because we didn't come up with that. Like, I'm sure there's like 100 people that are watching this. Like, yeah, duh. I'm like, you guys are idiots. I'm like,
I mean, I think it's a great idea. Like, is Bud Light willing to pay $100 a seat for an ad? And I think they might, and that could be way more profitable than having people in the seats for the NFL long term. Because think about how many people watch on TV every game, all the replays, like that's on forever. And I could definitely see companies and owners moving in.
It could definitely
like that.
It could definitely open up avenues for companies that may not have normally been able to get a sponsorship or afford one. To be able to transition into this now.
And it's already happening.
20 seats.
So, guys, it's already happening. It's happening in Major League Baseball with the green screen behind home plate. Now, one of the things that you probably don't realize about the green screen behind home plate is that when those games are rebroadcast, it can actually be a different ad sold a second time onto the green screen. So, like, instead of just showing the same original ad, if I can then resell the replay rights to a different ad, and in the NHL, they do it behind the goalie, and they cycle through the ads. So, like, anytime the camera pans away, when it pans back, sometimes it's a different ad behind the goalie. Mm-hmm. So, augmented reality, you guys know this. Augmented reality, you're selling 10 times more ad space because every time you want to, you flip the ad, and now you got a totally different sponsor back there.
It's like billboards. Like, I'm the first person to be against, like, the traditional billboard. I think it's a waste of your money. But with the electronic billboard, with able to cut that cost like drastically down, I think it opens up a different avenue of like we can have 20 different companies that are sitting there on it, and it's worth the pay at that point in time that that it's feasible to try at least. I don't know all the statistics, all that stuff, because it's not like social media where you can track like what's actually happening and stuff.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like it definitely makes it a lot more affordable in comparison to a normal billboard where you put it up and you really don't know what you're getting out of it.
What about VR seats? I mean, so now you got an empty stadium, right? So Chelsea, you were saying you sell each seat and you like let people put like a really sad note on that seat.
Yeah, right.
What about the idea of just selling virtual seats and just having like angles throughout the stadium that says, hey, you buy this, put on your Oculus Rift or whatnot, and watch the game.
Who does that right now with their seats? Like Ticketmaster or StubHub or something like that.
Well, I mean, like you can pick your seat and then see how it'll look.
Yeah, you can see what the view from your seat.
So it's kind of like that kind of deal, I guess. Like it would be like, yeah, I mean, and you have your own cameraman that just kind of pans back and forth for basically you in your section.
Yeah, the NBA is already doing that, and they're having sort of like hit and miss luck with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things they could do, but if we're being honest, the NFL is going to decide ultimately we want our fans. That's how we'll make the most money on all of this. We're going to bring it back. Truthfully.
It's all about the money.
At the NFL.
At the NFL, sign Chris Wilkerson, and all's forgiven.
Please. And we'll take this off YouTube. I swear.
We will turn into an NFL ad channel.
Please sign me. All right, now we're going to roll the video. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thing is the sad news of the XFL.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was stunned, hurt.
He's gonna touch his neck. Please no.
Yeah, well, I mean, next up till I die, Houston Roughnecks, biggest fan. It was truly, truly heartbreaking news to see that the XFL is shutting down its operations. and has no plan to return for 2021. I mean,
that was the brutal part. It's one thing like if they closed down, but like then they were like, 2021 will be like back. But it was like straight up. It was like
they went out of their way to say
we're done. Like it was toast. Like that's brutal. Like I was told like they had a lot of money, right? So I thought
they had money for 3 years, but that's with revenue. So now that players aren't playing,
Yeah.
I was like, man, since this happened, it was like that half the season must have been expecting some pretty like hefty gains. I'm assuming that would have like kept them going.
And they would have had those gains too.
I don't know much about the XFL. Was this the first year?
Yeah. So
they had a year before.
Yeah.
So it's like the second, like the middle of the second year?
Yeah, I don't remember the last year that it was actually like in session or whatever, but they just brought it back like this year, and it was huge. It was doing really well.
Yeah.
Next up. It was the games were so much fun.
Like how that kind of goes down, or what would.
So they don't plan to return for next year, but after that, or like, are they like honestly?
Like they're saying they're done.
Yeah, they said they have a skeleton crew working at the headquarters right now, so it's not looking great, which sucks because it was really fun, and it's fun to have football at this time of the year because like
I don't know and everybody keeps saying like the XFL needs to become like the minor league of the NFL, and now everybody's saying like the NFL should buy out the XFL and like make it. But like we got to realize like baseball has like this whole minor league stuff, NBA has it too, but the NFL has it too, and they've got it for free.
And it's college football.
Yeah.
And do people really want? Let's be honest. Do people really want second tier football to fill in that gap when they're not? Watching the NFL, or are we is that just a pipe dream? Do we just keep telling ourselves that?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It was big enough. I don't know what like the attendances were and stuff. And I think
I knew it was growing. Like,
oh yeah,
I definitely knew that it was
like,
getting
bigger.
bigger.
Do it that I feel like they would have to have it play like at the same time frame, right? Like baseball and stuff. Their minor leagues, they all play like in the same season, right? It's like one season, and they're playing like games like the AAA, AA, 1A. They're playing the games like at the same time the MLB is playing games. I feel like the NFL would have to do the same thing, kind of thing. It wouldn't be like, NBA has the summer league, but I feel like it would have to be sort of similar because that's how the setup would have to work, because then it would allow guys to transition like up and down, right?
Right, from one to the other.
Contract like in the organization.
Well, that's what happened with P.J. Walker. He was the Roughnecks quarterback. He did phenomenal. He was probably the best quarterback in the league.
We get it. You love the Roughnecks.
I mean, he was phenomenal. Next up, but like biases aside, P.J. Walker was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think he signed with the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. But he had a ton of interesting teams.
He definitely performed well.
Phenomenally. I mean, it's
I
going
want to know the backstory as to why they crumbled, like why they like it was. I guess not like a shocking crumble, I guess like shutdown, but like I would be more interested to know like how those financials actually looked and like what came out of that.
I agree, because I really do think if they brought it back,
it would do
everyone
well, but
would be on board. I don't like.
But we don't know how long that
like
mass gatherings.
If they just cut everyone out and then came back in 2021, don't you think that it would be fine?
But do you keep on rebooting this league with completely different rosters? Like, that's one of the problems with these leagues is that every year they turn over. You can't become a fan of anybody. Just when somebody gets good, they bounce to the NFL, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
And I heard that they might be banning like massive public gatherings like that for a while. Like we don't know when that's going to become acceptable again.
But I know there's this random idea of, and I thought they were going to kind of start doing it for a lot of sports, where all of MLB will be like playing in Arizona. And
but the thing is, like the XFL does not have the TV viewers or the TV deals to do that right now, and so they need the people like actually going to the games. And
I guess it's the hardest part that it really did just start. Like
it's just terrible timing.
Like the time, yeah. Yeah,
Rob, I feel like you had something that you had input there.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the TV broadcasts were probably their strongest point. I mean, I think they had 3 or 4 different networks broadcasting their games every week, and that's awesome. When you have like a bunch of different networks backing you up, I think they had ESPN. I know they had ABC. I think they had some Fox and NBC games, And so when you got 3 or 4 networks that could potentially, ultimately broadcast what you're doing, that's probably the best case scenario. I'm not sure this ultimately came down to fans and seats. I don't know what stopped the XFL because, they had the infrastructure and the capacity to do well. And so I'm just as shocked as the rest of you as to why all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt.
Right, and especially now, like everyone is at home right now for the most part. So wouldn't this be a good time to be like, hey, let's just put it on TV. More people may tune in. More people may become interested, become fans because they have nothing else to do.
Reruns and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like there was an opportunity, definitely. Like
definitely.
Well, that's the problem right now, though, is that we got these leagues. Nobody wants to be the first one to say, let's go back, because you don't want to be the one that accidentally, somebody gets hurt or somebody gets, the coronavirus, and it's because you went back and started playing. And so no league wants to be the one that like hangs themselves out there and says, we went back, we didn't have fans, but one of our players got sick, right? And the XFL, you're right. There was an opportunity here. They could have been that league that said, hey, we'll take a chance. We'll stay out there and do live sports, but they didn't.
Right.
That would have been a huge opportunity.
Once the big guys said no, it was done. I can tell you the NFL will be the first one to do it if there's an opportunity. I can guarantee that because I think they're very adamant about not postponing the season, not canceling anything.
Right.
How long this goes on, I think they'll be the first ones to do that.
I mean, at least we have Wrestlemania.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't bag on WrestleMania. I loved it. It was fantastic.
Just for like full disclosure, the text I got last night, like when we were telling Rob to get on here, it was like, we need to talk about WrestleMania.
Guys, if we can't talk about real sports, let's talk about WrestleMania.
Trust me, we get down to that one very lastly today. Don't worry, we get to that.
It's the finale.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we're gonna get there.
Perfect.
Everyone was told to pick their best cornerback. All right, so you've got all the typical name and then like island, right? But who do you think was really the island? Chelsea, you start.
Okay, I'm gonna start. I know nothing about cornerbacks, so I'm speaking for Ben. Ben said that the best cornerback of all time is Deion Sanders, aka Primetime.
That's fair.
Okay.
How do you pronounce his name again?
Dion.
Okay.
Is that wrong?
It did sound weird. It was Dion.
Dion. That's how I said it, like with a little tick over the O.
Accent.
Yeah.
Who's yours, David?
Oh, okay. So mine's it's as always when we're picking top fives. It's more of a personal thing for me, and I got to go with Jonathan Joseph. He's a veteran cornerback in the Texans, and I had dinner with him once. It was something for like my dad's work, and I ate dinner with him. I'll throw the picture up. And he was just like the coolest guy ever. Like we talked about video games the whole time, and apparently all the football players, at least on the Texans, they all play 2K. Like no one plays Madden, they all play 2K, and they're like cold at it. And yeah, it was super cool. And he was a really nice guy, and he didn't have to be nice to me, so it was really cool. So he's my favorite. But and he's locked down too. Like he's been a staple of the Texans defense for a really long time.
Right. Yeah.
Legit, he had like a good 10-year career.
Oh yeah, I was playing Madden 12. We just booted up the old Wii, and we were playing 5-on-5, and it was a no-fly zone wherever Jonathan Joseph was.
All right, mine was Revis Island, Darrelle Revis. This dude shut down a lot of big-time receivers consistently. I feel like everybody's just shook their head at me and said no shot.
I don't know.
I like Darrelle Revis. I think he's a beast.
I mean, if you're just talking about popular name brand corners, I mean, beyond Deion Sanders, where I think there's an apostrophe in that, you pick the second most name brand corner out there. You might as well have just picked Richard Sherman, called it a day.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Sherman was a great pick too. He was probably my second, but he never really had the coverage and speed wise. Like he didn't ever play really good man coverage. He just played really smart, in my opinion.
My favorite thing about when guys start talking about people like who aren't that good at the position in their team is like people like Christopher who could never do it. And it's like he wasn't.
Yeah, he's not fast enough.
He's not fast enough. Like I could do that easier.
No, I mean I ran like a 7 flat 40. So I mean,
Beast.
I'm basically a corner.
Come on. Since Rob is the all-time
Listen, I don't follow a lot of NFL football. I'm more of a CFL kind of guy or Arena League.
Wait,
But
important note here for everyone that doesn't know. Rob is from Canada.
I kind of got that. I was like, wow, who really is like, I'm more of a CFL person. It is from here. Like, that blows my mind.
I'm from a country where we have professional leagues where half the teams in the league are called the Rough Riders. So no, the best, in my opinion, and this is a guy who came up when I was watching NFL football in the 90s, was Aeneas Williams was my guy at corner. 10 years with the Cardinals. I figure his name's got to be thrown out there. A little bit too old for you guys, but he was my guy.
I know the name. I don't really know the player whatsoever.
Well, he was a great corner. That's the player. That's all you need to know. I know that his name doesn't appear as often in your world. But he was a great corner, had a lot of success, and then later in his career he ended up being sort of a safety for the Rams.
I feel like if I went and played in the CFL, I'd probably have a really, really big fan in this group right now. At the CFL, sign me.
They wouldn't take you. Hey, you know what though? They might take you if they saw that geographic All-Star game jersey behind you there.
That's right. Shout out to the East West Shrine game. Hospital doing things for kids. All right, so Tom Brady. This is the best thing ever, actually. And I have another point as to why somebody else hasn't done this. But Tom Brady his company filed for the trademark on Tompa Bay. Thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns.
Okay, at what point has branding gone too far? Is my only question.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With Chad Ochocinco, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true, but that's different. He changed his last name. Like that is dedication.
Far, I guess, but okay. So somebody said this on Twitter. Why hasn't Drew Brees done this at Drew Orleans?
You know what? I think somebody copyrighted that or trademarked that once they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Really?
Which is, I respect it. That's live.
I haven't seen anything.
That is live.
But Drew
Orleans definitely sounds way better than Tompa Bay.
Tompa Bay.
They're grasping for straws at that one.
There was like pictures of like what could be, right? Like for the shirts and stuff. And I'm just saying it sounds pretty ignorant. I'm not gonna lie, but he'll probably make millions off of it.
I saw this meme. It was like Tom trying to figure out how to like incorporate his name, and there was like sample names on the whiteboard, and it was like Tampa Bay, and then it was like Tampa Brady, and then it was like all these other random names that they're trying to do.
Tampa Brady.
And I was like, Tampa Brady kind of sounds better. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Tampa Brady.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Tampa Brady.
If they filed for a ton of them, like.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. They just get mass trademarks.
Yeah, you got to get out there before somebody creates a website, tampabay.org or something like that.
It'll take someone like just a simple tweet that someone goes out and says Tampa Brady, and then it pops off and there's a website up, and it'll actually be from him. They've already got it ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So anyway, the sideline design, last week we sold like 8 Hall of Fame packages. It was actually pretty sweet. We had like 8 new schools signed up. Sick. So I asked everyone to pick their favorite sideline design graphic that's on the site right now. So you guys go ahead and go.
Okay, I'll go first. Chris, are we allowed to talk about the teams that you've worked with?
Yeah. Okay,
so for me, I really, really, really like what you just recently did with Colorado State. The team or the position specific card graphics that you did were phenomenal. They were the coolest things I've ever seen, and I was astounded that you made them.
Yeah, those are sweet. Those took so that actually happened. It was a call at like 9:30 at night, and they had a thing. They needed a presentation they were putting together to send out to recruits because football coaches wait till the last second for everything. Rob McDermand, you would know this. for everything, right? Because it just pops in their head. It's like, this would be a genius idea. Let's send a PowerPoint presentation to the coaches, or to the players. Sorry. And so they needed something to send to the recruits, and they were trying to put some graphics in there. Well, I don't know if I can say it. This is what I was told, is that they don't have a graphic designer right now. They're in transition. And so that's how I got the call, and that was how that happened. But those are pretty sweet, yeah. And so it happened from 9:30 at night till like 4 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. That's when Chris does his best work.
You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
My favorite, I guess it really isn't my favorite of all time, but it's definitely one of my most recent favorites. It's the one that you put up on Twitter asking like which color you should do it in of the NFL draft for.
Yeah, that one was sweet. That was for Michael
2020
performance. Yeah, that was for Michael Johnson performance.
That was dope.
Yeah. I really like, and then I'm just happy that the one I voted on is the color you picked, because it was obviously the best one.
That was all their combine guys. That was a lot of fun to do.
Which one did you end up picking, Chris? Was it the?
I think they went with like that tannish one.
Okay, I like that one. That was cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like that dark one too, though. So
it was like both sides.
Favorite.
It was like either the lighter one or the darker one that people liked,
Yeah.
but the lighter one ended up being one posted everywhere, as it should have been.
My favorite was the thing you did with the graphics and the football guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Good.
That one.
That's good.
Yeah, it looked really good. But I went with the lighter. You went with the darker.
I like the new edition section. It's actually pretty sweet. All the stuff that's coming out, and then I actually did just hire a new designer, so we'll add some more flavor, a little bit of different stuff in there. And then that gets us into the next project, where we're actually having all your PSD templates you actually would upload into our own system, and it'll break it down by layers, and you'll be able to do it just from your phone instead of having to use Photoshop. And so you'll be able to upload your Photoshop documents actually into the system itself and change it right then and there on the go as you go. And it should make it a lot easier. We've already got like 15 schools like in waiting for that. So it's a really big deal. So pretty sweet.
It's revolutionary.
Next, what's our next topic?
It is. It really is. No. Chris is doing some proprietary stuff right now. This is.
Yeah, that's like. I don't know how that part's going to come out. That's kind of there's a lot of research being done and getting an attorney, and we're looking into a bunch of stuff, because that's like never been done, and I don't know why it hasn't been done, but just like the concept itself.
Yeah, he tries to charge me when I want him to edit my Instagram pictures. It's kind of
he's charging you when you're in the next room over from him right now. What is he like? Does he send a bill through the wall or something?
He slides it under the door, you know.
No, I'll tell you, Chris. One of the things, and he knows this because we've talked in the past about various different things about the sport industry, and one of the things that blows my mind is the fact that like the sport industry is so far behind, because you figure this is standard operating procedure in a lot of other industries that outsource all their graphic design to a third party. And like you said, you're in here like, why hasn't somebody thought of this before? Hey, don't worry about why they haven't thought about it before. It's capitalized, right?
Yeah, no, it happens in it literally happens at like the top, like in software and like actual graphic design companies, like they outsource. That's how they do, and they do it for companies. They outsource all their stuff, but yet the sports world is like stuck in this, like we have to have a dedicated designer and a dedicated team, and we have to spend a ton of money. When in reality, you could just get guys that work with a few big schools, essentially divide up that money amongst 3 or 4 programs in a way, right, to where you're spending less and they're getting paid the same to work. It's a lot better theory than I feel like than having a dedicated team. Like Clemson has like 15 guys. I mean, like 15 designers like at the ready. It's just like I feel like there's a lot more you could do with that.
Well, it's just one of those things, like that's what they've always done. That's what they know.
Well, and a lot of those people, like they came from this idea that you had to have like big media departments in general, and as opposed to the idea of you just need to have a lot of media out there. Like so getting a lot of media out there doesn't require you to have 15 people behind the scenes if you can make it look like the volume of work that's coming out is high. But back in the old days, you had to have a lot of people because it was all written words, right? That takes a while. Nowadays, you get one Chris, and he just keeps modifying things around, and it looks like all this content
Brand new.
is coming out there.
Right.
Nobody knows. It's just the guy working in his, his basement or whatever room he's in the house right now, Chelsea, and he's just from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m.,
Right.
And to be fair, Chris, we talked about this before, but you're kind of like a Swiss Army knife. Like, you not only do you have football experience, but you're also really good at graphic design, and you're really good at like commanding people to do graphic design, and you have like visionary ideas. Yeah. So your skills are not present in a lot of places because you actually have the experience in football and graphic design.
Well, I didn't realize I was going to come on a Zoom and praise the older brother that beats me behind the scenes. Like,
well, if it's one thing he never got during his football career, it was praise. And so that's why the rest of us have to do it now for his graphic design skills.
Long snappers are starved for ego.
I used to work in Rob's office all the time, and it was just like, don't you have something like better to do? Like, no, I really don't. Like, just go up on Saturdays, snap the ball a few times, and even that's just mediocre at best.
Listen,
No, it was like super hard to find a graphic designer. It took a lot of search. I mean, this is like 4 months now that I've been even looking for a guy that can understand like the concept of like, hey, I need, like, when I say an offer graphic, a committed graphic, like what those schools are really looking for, like that's not something that just somebody like understands like off the bat. Like, just
and you got to also understand too, it's the world of football that's so much more complicated than that. You have to know what are kids looking for that they want to see, so you have to understand the athlete side. Then you got to build out your network, and you built out your network. You got coaches that you got people in the industry that so it goes way beyond just having talent, right? Like, it's one thing to be a really talented graphic designer, but it's a completely different thing to be able to say, well, I know what it means to be a graphic designer who understands what a high school kid wants to see when they throw this up on Twitter, when they throw this up on Instagram, when they put this into their story, and what the school needs from me to be able to, like you said, fill in these templates with player information. I mean, it's so much knowledge that people don't even understand coming together in one sort of central area, and that's where you're so special, is that you have all these different ideas that make sense when put together, and not everybody can do that.
Yeah, I was super lucky to be able to do what I did through college, so ended up at the right place, I think, and met Rob. Hot take on the Atlanta Falcons unis. I have some subjective, I don't know, because the Jets did it first, like last year or whatever, right? Like, it kind of went to like this like modernish kind of like.
It's about time. I don't know what y'all have to say about it. It's about time.
Like,
have they updated the uniforms?
Thinking I'm playing backyard football on the computer still.
I don't like them. I don't like the new uniforms personally.
You don't like change. Christopher doesn't like change.
I don't know. They feel kind of like, I don't know. Too simple almost. Like, I hate saying that because I love simple and I love easy and like just really nice and like organized, but they feel too watered down to me.
Okay.
That's
it's kind
fair.
of like the Rams logo.
Oh, that's just bad. I hope that isn't. I hope that actually
Too
isn't.
simple.
Chris, you're coming from an interesting position though, because you are a graphic designer. So I feel like you're more qualified than I am to talk on it. But I don't hate them. I feel like, I don't know. I like the Color Rush jerseys. I think are dope. I think if the Color Rush jerseys were the standard jerseys, it would be so cool.
I think the Color Rush was a good thing, and I think it adds like a media outlet. Like where it's like the Color Rush game where both teams are actually like using that. Like are in their like pop uniforms, but like the new ones, like that kind of like plain black and plain white with the Falcons and the Jets, really too. I don't really like either of those. So
fair enough.
Does it even matter at this point? Because we know that they do it just to sell more jerseys. I mean, you gotta buy the new jersey. If you're a Falcons fan, you're buying the jersey this year, no matter what it looks like, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to get a new one, I guess, when everybody upgrades and stuff. So I mean, when everybody changes the uniform, you have to get a new one. You can't wear the old one technically anymore. It's like, if you're a real fan, you're getting the new one. So
It's all about the money.
I don't know. I don't like them. you guys don't really have a hot opinion on these things, but
well, I mean,
I think everybody's going to start following suit to this now, and I think these like across the league. I think everybody's going to eventually transition into this. But
it's gonna be plain. I think it's going to be more about color than it is about design of the jersey.
The color rush jerseys, like with the full, like the Bucks, like the full red, or the Jets, like full green, it looks sweet.
I thought it was awesome.
When they play each other on TV, it looks great, right? Like,
because it pops.
Yeah, but like for your regular everyday jerseys, I don't like that. Like kind of like simple, like one color look kind of feel. I don't know. It doesn't fit to me. So we're in day like, I don't know, like 457 of quarantine.
Seriously, that's what it feels like.
And we're coming up on Easter. So how's everyone going to spend their Easter with social distancing? Because normally you like go to church, you have friends over, you have egg hunts and like all that stuff. But look, I love an egg hunt. All right, I'll get super competitive about that. I will be the one to find the $20 bill because I'm poor and I need it. I guarantee you, I'll be there. Look, the NFL doesn't pay a whole lot for 2 hours of work. All right. So I'll be the first one to find that $20 bill egg. But what are you going to be doing for Easter? Rob, what are you going to be doing for Easter?
Well, we're doing, obviously the families, we're stuck in the house and there's 4 of us. And so we're going to be doing an Easter, with the 4 of us. We hope that, my wife's parents will put on the protective, hazmat suits and come on over and spend some time with their grandkids. But we're just trying to play it safe. We do have food. We do have an Easter egg hunt planned, because the kiddos, they're getting bored. And so we got to do everything we can to give them something to do over the next couple of days.
Dude, anyone that's got kids at home right now, I feel so bad for. Like, it's got to be like a hassle and a half. Like,
you should feel bad. It is miserable. I swear, right from this point forward, there's going to be a lot of married couples that don't have kids as a result of this coronavirus because they never want to be stuck in a house with kids in the future.
Like some people are having like a hard time being at home with their significant other for this.
Yeah, apparently divorce rates are supposed to completely spike up after we get out.
100% believe it.
Like, because
a lot of y'all just getting married to get married out here, especially like our age, like just getting married for the hell of it, So, I mean, people like Rob, the perfect gentleman, and they're perfect. They are just right here, but us young.
Loves his kids, never complains.
Married after dating for 4 months, and we're just like,
we're bored. Let's get married.
And I think Chelsea's going to go home. I might go home. I don't know. Yeah,
we were trying to figure out. It's either we're here in the house together, just us, for Easter, and it turns out Christopher can't cook.
I'll
figure that out yesterday when I was forced to cook the food in the freezer.
Are businesses going to be open on Easter? Like, are restaurants open on Easter Sunday?
I'm sure some are.
I'm going to starve. Because I'm not gonna have anything to eat.
So we may be going home.
David, I know that y'all will just be chilling.
Yeah, it's kind of that way every Easter because all of our family lives in either Nebraska, Iowa, or Las Vegas. So my parents basically they came from the Midwest down to Texas, and so we don't get to see our extended family a ton for holidays or anything unless we actively go up there. Or they come down here. So it'll be pretty much par for the course, like most Easters. Last Easter, though, I watched Kanye at Coachella. He did his Sunday service on Easter Day, I'm pretty sure, and it was pretty cool. So, yeah, maybe I'll watch a rerun of that.
I was going to say, just watch a rerun. It'll be like your...
I'm pretty sure that's what the early Christians had in mind.
Yeah, Kanye at Coachella.
Definitely.
Just hit the 5-minute left mark, and we're not going to restart this like we did last time and go forever. So, last closing thoughts. Abbott is supposed to open up Texas next week. Thoughts on it? If it's too early, or what you think on it briefly in a couple of sentences. What are your thoughts, Chelsea? Go.
I'm nervous. It's too early for sure. I'm nervous that the whole country is supposed to be on lockdown all the way through the end of the month at least. And I just read that, we're still having a lot of cases, a lot of new cases, a lot of cases. I understand like that's going to happen. This is going to be kind of here now for and circulating, but I think it might be too early.
David?
I agree. I mean, we have like 10,000 cases now, I think I read, which is like kind of ridiculous. And that's with everyone locked down.
It's in Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah, in Texas.
500,000 in the country have been infected.
I'm not sure the total number for the country, but I know that it's – oh, you said 500,000?
500,000 for the country.
That's
Rob,
crazy.
what do you think?
I mean, I'm a lot closer to death than the three of you. So I guess for me, it's like we got to get out eventually. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a right time. I think right now it's probably a little too early, but I would be shocked that anyone's ever going to have the right time.
Yeah,
right.
I think the exact same thing. There's never really going to be a like appropriate time to do it, I guess. It's always going to be like step by step opening it up.
Right.
But yeah, like at some point somebody has to pull the trigger. And
I mean, we just have to give the science enough time.
Yeah, I would.
Ahead of this, I don't mind them saying, "Hey, like we can leave now. We finally have like a vaccine for it. We have more information, but we've got to give them that time, or else we're gonna get out and we're gonna have a second curve up."
Yeah, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we had some kind of vaccine or treatment that was like proven to work without side effects. But I don't know how long that's going to be.
That's what I'm wondering more so or less like, what's that like spike going to be? Is it going to be too much? But somebody has to, I mean, eventually, I even think it's a little too early. If we shut down like this much for it, then I mean, and we're supposed to be close to the end of the month and we're saying next week, that's like a week and a half early or whatever. But, even that, if that's the case and we shut down everything like this, then maybe it is too early, but somebody does have to pull the trigger first and try it and have like a plan of like, hey, we're going to do this and then this and then this, right? So, and
it may be gradual. He may just come out and say, hey, non-essential businesses can open, but you have to agree to do curbside and you have to agree to.
Yeah, I think there's supposed to be like some sort of like defined plan as to how it's going to work. One thing I actually read this morning, and this I guess this will be the last thing, and I want to know. I literally just read this morning. It said that America, like basically the government would have us download this app that would track our positioning, and so that when you're moving around, and if someone, if you get the coronavirus, right, if you come back positive, then you have to check in on the app with it, and it'll alert everyone that you've come in near contact with based on your location.
1984. That's crazy. That's Big Brother.
That is.
I don't know how comfortable I feel about that. Because yeah.
I read something from LinkedIn. Somebody posted it like this is like a few of the different plans. That was one of them. I'm not saying that's the plan they're going to use. I'm just saying that was one of them.
I think it's too late. Like that would have helped a little while ago, I guess. Like, but also, yeah.
That starts tracking us.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, that was all I have. That's all I got because we're going to run out of time here. But that was the lockdown this time. Thanks for Rob for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Welcome back anytime. He probably won't ever want to hang out with us again. But that was it. David's going to cut this up, and it's going to be out there. And that's it. So we'll see you.
Thanks for watching.
Peace out, guys.